sailors. Bodgie here.
G'day, Bodgies and Widgies, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here with Blake, the owner of BLAKES Aquatics, and also the owner of this amazing fish room. Today we're going to do a bit of an interesting video where we look at some of the fish tanks, give a bit of a feeding, and just have a discussion about some of the fish in this room. But before we get into this video, as always, we'll quickly acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and the people that are currently managing our land, like our councils and everyone amazing like that. But I say, without further ado, let's have a look at some fish. Yep, and then you got to do the thing. So, Blake, let's have a look at what's in this fish room. Did you want to give us a bit of an intro?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, thanks for coming down. Yeah, we might have a bit of a crossover, so people might be aware, but just in case you're not, yeah, this fish room been up and running since about November this year. I just moved into it from another place. It's nearing about 50 tanks, and I like to keep a pretty wide variety of stuff, just because the whole hobby really interests me. So yeah, I feed a lot of different foods, which I think we might show you some of the different things I've got going, because mainly my interest in breeding and plants. So as part of that, I like to feed a lot of live foods as well. So I thought today might be handy for some of Taryn's viewers to understand some of those live foods and how they can help, and how easy they are to culture as well, because I think it can be a bit intimidating sometimes, but I don't think it should be. So.
Exactly, and I think the intimidation is like the thing that was holding me off until we've seen, or I've seen some of the things here, which we'll have a look at. But yeah, where are we going to get started?
Yeah, so maybe I'll just show you some of the more popular fish that are in here, and then I'll run through my regimen of live foods, and I'll show you how I feed all of those out and culture them, and hopefully that's a good video. So maybe we'll go ahead and start to have a look at some of the fry and fish that I have at the moment. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Blake, around the fish room, you've got a bunch of little fish that you're breeding. What do you recommend is like the first foods to get onto little baby fish?
Yeah, sure. So I guess to start off with, I've put a few Own It tabs around this place. They're actually the Insectivore FD tabs, I think.
Yep.
And especially if you have newborn fish or nano fish, sometimes they can be really shy and hard to see, and I think it's really important sometimes to keep a close eye on them. So whether you make videos or whether you just want to check in on your fish to see how they're growing, developing, make sure they're healthy, can be a really good thing to stick some of them onto the glass. Especially because a lot of people probably don't realize, like, smaller fish, you can't exactly just go out and grab a pellet, you know, and feed it to them. Although there are some options for that, which I guess we'll tick off at the end. But I do keep a number of live foods around here, so today I thought we'd just show you some of the easiest ones that I think at minimum everyone should try and do. So to get started with, a great one for newborn fry, I think, is microworms. Super simple to do. I've talked about it a lot before, but really low maintenance. You only need to touch it about once every month or so, but there is a few little tricky things to keep in mind. So with microworms, you want to keep an eye on how liquidy the base is of the culture, because what will happen is when you first make it up, it will progressively get more liquidy as the worms kind of break down the, or as the yeast breaks down the carbohydrates in the culture. But other than that, you just need a carbohydrate, some yeast, some sugar, and you're pretty much ready to go in a starter. Yeah,
and at the end of the culture, you get a nice protein-rich smoothie.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, the other good thing with microworms is make sure you keep a backup, just in case one does crash, then you can easily do that. But I like to feed microworms to like any sort of danios, tetras, guppies, endlers, anything really small. And that's a great one to start off with.
And like, if, say for example, you can't culture live foods, or it's just too intimidating, well, certain factors come into play. Are there like any alternatives that you would suggest aside from live?
Yeah, sure. So whilst I said we can't exactly go out and grab some pellets,
ta-da!
What you can actually do is put a bunch of your old pellets, or maybe you've got some that you don't feed out for whatever reason, whether they're sinking, floating, whatever it is. get them, pick a day where your spouse isn't at home, grab the NutriBullet out and whack them all in there. You can create some really nice fine powdered
Don't wash the NutriBullet out afterwards.
Nah, not waste of time. But then I just puree it up or finely blend it all up, get myself a little sauce bottle like this, and super simple to have a really quickly accessed powder food, just in case anything does go wrong with any of these cultures. Sometimes you're a bit low on time and they do take a bit longer to feed out as well, so I'll show you how simple that can be. We'll put a bit of footage over the top now. That's how you know it's good, if it stinks. So yeah, really handy thing to have there. But yeah, other than that, another great one is grindle worms. Super simple to culture. Grindle worms are super easy to culture as well. You just use some scourer pads and a piece of plastic. Put some food in the middle and I just make it a bit damp. And that's all it is. The worms just live in the pad, and then they kind of congregate on the plastic. You'll see me feeding them in a second. We just use a bit of a paintbrush or whatever to take some off. Other than that, you can actually just take the whole bit of plastic or maybe a piece of glass or whatever and just kind of shake it off in the tank. But a good one for fully grown nanofish or larger fry like you know, a guppy or whatever. For sure. Or a platy.
Yeah. Now, Blake, you're also breeding a lot of like bigger cichlids, like dwarf.
That's news to me.
Okay. All right. Let me redo that. Okay. So Blake, you've got some larger fish, and what would you recommend as some alternatives or recommended foods for them?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this the other day actually, and definitely there's a huge market for people with larger cichlids, and I've got my Saratoga, as you mentioned, also the Bashirs as well. And I was at the fish shop the other day and I thought it could be pretty fun as a treat to give them actually some mealworms. Mealworms are a bit of a larvae of an insect, so they're going to be very high protein and also contain some fat. I wouldn't recommend feeding them mealworms every day, mainly just as kind of like a bit of dessert, you know, every month or every couple of weeks. But you can definitely have a lot of fun with the feeding response from some mealworms, and my Saratoga absolutely demolished them. I dropped about like 20 in there the other day, and I think he ate all but 2 of them. So really simple. Most reptile stores or good fish stores should have them.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Blake, for showing us around the fish room and also giving us a bit of an insight into some of these live foods. It's something that I've always been a bit intimidated on, but looking at the simplicity of just culturing things like microworms is something that I might actually consider doing in the fish room as well. But that's essentially it for this video. And is there anything else that you'd like to finish up on or mention?
No, not really. I guess just to say that, you know, it's nothing to be intimidated by. A lot of them are really simple. They're not hands-on at all, and it can really help to enhance the conditioning of your fish and also the enjoyment you have in the hobby. You know? So yeah, definitely recommend trying it out. And you know, even if you fail, you know, at least you've tried. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's it essentially from us. So huge thank you for watching, and as always, stay happy. You can do this as well. Stay safe. Stay healthy, Australian. Bodgie and Blake out. I'm actually here with Blake from BLAKES Aquatics. That's
G'day!
Don't redo it. So no, it's fine. I'll just cut it out. All right. Okay, so Blake, you're also breeding some dwarf cichlids and you're also keeping some larger fish as well. So what do you recommend in terms of feeding them, in terms of a variety?
Not dwarf cichlids either.
Mr. Grandma, what do you call those?
I haven't bred those in ages.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Why don't you just say, what about
fish?
For the larger fish enthusients? You know, is there any live foods that we could potentially feed to them? So,
Blake, you also have some larger fish, and no, it's gonna have the segue. It's gonna have the segue. All right. Okay. All right. Now, what would you recommend for the larger fish enthusiasts? You've got some Saratoga, some Saratogas. You've got one. You've got a Saratoga. All right. I know what to do. All right. Okay. Awesome. So thank you so much for showing us around the fish room and also giving us a bit of an insight into feeding some of these fish. What happened?
Nothing.
Oh, why would you do that? Okay. I don't do that all that often. It's about time we get to feeding some of these fish, and yeah, let's go around.
Yeah, except like, wouldn't the footage
yeah,
have been
the
over the whole
footage is
time?
gonna be
That's why
overlaid, yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
aren't we going through this a bit quicker?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Right. So how should we end it?
Haven't you already showed the footage?
Yeah, I would have already showed the footage.
We know what's going on.
We know, they don't. And I also kind of don't. I don't.